Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Lovely Sunday morning.
Good morning.
And we are starting with, we are starting with games people play on a Sunday morning. It's a nice topic to wake us all up. And another great thing about this, I guess it's the first time we are having an all ladies team, right? Including me. So all ladies team. My son is doing okay, fine. So here we are having 3 lovely ladies, and I think I'll change it to 4 lovely ladies handling this topic, games people play. And let me just give a brief on all 3 ladies. I always try to keep the introduction I keep it minimal so that I want the speakers to have the stage completely, right? As usual, the first 1 hour will be devoted to the speakers who will try to give us an insight into what the book is all about, what are their learnings, and what is it that they feel are the takeaways. So they'll share from their perspective. Each of us, of course, when we read the book, we'll have our own perspective. So it's their perspectives that they're trying to share with the audience. So let's see what they have to say. And then at the end of it, that is the last half an hour, we will have the session open for question answers. I definitely want each of you to jot down whatever queries, whatever questions you all have, and discuss it at the end of the session. And please, we want more and more questions. So things that will really force us to think through and help us understand the topic. And another thing is this book review is intended to trigger our, inquisitiveness. It should make us feel that we need to buy the book, and books like these, definitely they're worth buying and reading again and again. So here we have Deepa Kesavan. She is qualified to train the students from, right from KG to PG. So she has been associated with ICAI for the past decade. She's worked in IT and pharma industry in training. Apart from that, she also writes content. She travels and is in various community activities. Presently, she's also doing a PG diploma program with a thesis and various courses in Udemy. Then we have Kanika Sharma. She's a consulting psychologist. Wow. She is a MBTI and EFT practitioner. She's associated with ICAI as a trainer again for over a decade. Apart from training, she's a freelance content developer, transcriber, and a virtual assistant. She has been into market research with IMRB and ABS IT as a field controller. She's presently working with WinFocus and is taking care of the US-based clients. She has done her MBA in HR from ICAI, Dehradun. Then we have Nidhi Jalan. Nidhi, I hope I have pronounced your name correctly. Is it Jalan? Okay. So she's a practicing chartered accountant. She's a proprietor of MS Nidhi Anuj and Associates. She's associated with ICAI as a faculty since the last 4 years, presently undergoing NLP course. And she has a keen interest in public speaking, loves to read books. And yes, you know what? I always forget to talk about me. This is Dr. Sandhya Patil. And I am currently, I'm performing the role as a moderator for the group. So I've been working for the past 30 years. I have 15 years of corporate experience and 15 years into training. And yes, like Deepa, I love to train right from KG to, there's no end, because I'm also a DISA faculty. So I also train chartered accountants in performing the systems audit. We have our Kundu sir. Kundu sir is way ahead. So yes, and book reading is a passion that I have. I love to read books, and there are many books, I think on Amazon, whenever I go, the maximum things that I buy is books. So that is something, that's a passion that I have. And I feel that has really improved my thought process. Whenever I deal with things, it's not just the reading, It's how you apply it to your personal and professional life. So here's the stage to Deepa, uh, Nidhi, and Kanika. All the best to you all. I'm going to go on
Yeah,
mute.
madam, before we start, can you give us their phone numbers? Because we do need to contact them, no? Sometimes they are such lovely speakers, all
Yes,
of them.
later.
Yeah.
You can put it all in the messages.
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Deepa. And today I'm going to talk to you about a very fascinating, interesting textbook on psychiatry, psychology. Frankly, it's meant for doctors, but the way the writer has come up with this book and composed this book, it's meant for anyone and everyone. So, along with my fellow reviewers, Kanika and Nidhi, we'll be giving our insights and our analysis of this book, and maybe a small teaser so that you are inspired to read this book, and not only read, but also keep it in your bookshelf, in your library, in your handbag, in your bag, because that fascinating is this book. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Shannon, the headphones are nothing can happen. They
Yeah.
said we can't do
So,
anything. It's out of warranty.
yeah. So shall I continue? So this book, Games People Play. Can you see me and the book which I'm showing? Sorry?
Yes, Deepa,
Can
we can.
yeah, the
Yes.
book is visible, right? This is the book. And this book is hardly like 160, 162 pages. That's it. Okay. But it is mind-boggling. It is so mind-boggling that I had to literally shut the book each time I opened it and I was reading it. It consists of various case studies, which the writer, Dr. Eric Berne, has dealt with. He has not named his patients exactly, but I believe that is what he has done. He has done his therapy, and the therapy sessions, he has called it as games, the interventions which he might have had with his patients, and the way people have interacted with each other in their profession, in their social life, and what is the psychology behind those interactions. That is what he's tried to address by calling it games. And that is the title of the book, Games People Play, The Psychology of Human Relations. The book is primarily divided into three parts. I'm dealing with the first part, which is hardly 40 or 60 pages. And then Nidhi and Kanika, my fellow reviewers, will be dealing with the other two parts. All the three parts sort of overlap a little bit. So you might feel that we are touching the same topic again, but we'll be giving you different perception. Now, as you can see in my title slide, the slide shows a book which has been on the bestsellers list for more than a year. And the article is written by the writer here, by some writer. And whatever he mentions here, that this book is very good. It analyzes very serious uh, games which people play with one another without realizing it. The interesting thing is the name of the games. Okay, the games. Forgive me for saying this. Um, some of the games, I'm little hesitant to use unparliamentary words here, but that is the names of the games. Kick me. Now I've got you. You son of a bitch. See what you made me do. And these are some of the titles of the games which he's talking about. Anyway, so Dr. Berne, I haven't written his real name, which he changed it actually. He is an immigrant coming from Poland and Russia. His parents, not he, his parents. He was born and brought up in Canada. He was born in 1910, and he lived for 6 decades. Okay. So primarily what we can see is he lived during the First and Second World War, during all the things which are happening in the world. And he has worked with the US Army as a psychiatrist. And he has been a consultant with them after the war. And interestingly, he doesn't narrate any of the interventions, the interactions he might have had with the patients, or he has hidden it, he has layered it in the games. So that is something which I would like to follow up after reading this book. Further of his writings, I'm inspired to read. He's the one who proposed, come up with the idea of transactional analysis. Transactional analysis is the interplay people have when they are dealing with one another. So, from the psychological angle, if you look at it, people are supposed to have an ulterior motive when they are dealing with one another, or it might be an innocent way. So, what is it he's talking about? Is explained in all these games which I mentioned. The games are basically divided into 7 categories, and he has a title, and under each title, he has given various games. And these are all based on various interpersonal relationships people have with one another. Okay. So transactional analysis, I believe it is come after Sigmund Freud's work, and he's one of his followers, but he breaks away from the psycho therapy which Sigmund Freud talks about, and he develops this transactional analysis, or TA. Okay, so the approach is very simple. He has come up with a model of parent, which is the ego state, which is nourishing and as well as critical, and the adult state, which is more rational and logical, and the child state, ego state, which is more innocent, spontaneous, creative, and also rebellious. And according to Berne, all these 3 stages are present in all of us. He calls it as, he has given a technical name also. He calls the parent stage as archeophysic functioning in us. And neophysic is the new one, which is the adult stage. And extrophysic is the one which is no, I'm sorry. The parental stage is extro physic, and the child stage is archeophysic. The adult stage is neophysic. I didn't mention these terms here in my PPT. Please open the book and you will find it. Very interesting. Okay, so all these 3 stages are present in us, and according to the situation we are in, we come up with different permutation and combinations with these ego states. When these words, parent, adult, or child, are in small letter, it refers to people. When it is in capital letter, he's referring to the ego states. And whatever state we are in, it is based on certain social scripts he's talking about. The social scripts have been coming to us genetically from the evolution time. Okay. So that is a very interesting thing. And based on these scripts, people communicate and develop that relationship. Okay. And whatever he has written in this book, Games People Play, The Psychology of Human Relationship, published in 1964, it applies to this day. And when you're going through this book, you will feel that you relate to it. The interactions, social interactions, which he's mentioning via these games, you feel it is happening to us. You're doing it consciously or unconsciously, and people are doing it to you. So these games are basically reoccurring, and that is a pattern to follow. And it helps us to understand and improve our communication, relationship, and also maybe our professional behavior. So he tries to decode what is happening in a hidden way, the ulterior motive behind every communication, every interaction. So the part 1 of this book is again subdivided into various sections. You have the preface, wherein there is a continuity from his previous work, transactional analysis. And because of the preface, you can read this book as a standalone. You don't need that previous book which he has written. And then he gives us an introduction, a structural analysis, transactional analysis, procedures, rituals, pastimes, and games. Okay. So you understand, because this book is more like a textbook, there is a beautiful methodology in which he has presented everything. He follows a very a technical way of presenting everything. And it is easier for us to follow what he's talking about. And it helps us to have its application in our training sessions, also for doctors and for an ordinary person. He has tried to make the language as simple as possible, but sometimes, it gets little tough to decode. Okay. So, yeah, this is the model he has created. The parental ego state, which is basically the extro physic, adult ego state, which is neophysic, which is the parental stage can be critical as well as nourishing. You can relate to your childhood, when how your parents, elders dealt with you. Sometimes they're encouraging, sometimes they were trying to make you, come to a way of doing things the way it should be done. Like, for example, you want to go and play, and you're asking your parent or your elders, I've done with my homework, can I play with my games for some time? The parental ego state might come up with a statement like this: no, how can you go out for playing? It is raining outside. Can't you think for yourself that it is dangerous to go out now? The parent is being critical here. The parent becomes nourishing when he or she is saying, yes, of course you can play, but do take an umbrella, wear a raincoat, it's raining. So the parent is nourishing, is not being critical, but at the same time is teaching the child to be cautious. The adult stages, of course, you can play, but no, the adult state doesn't say but. The adult state, the parent might say, yes, of course you can play. Let's go out together after an hour. So not being critical, not trying to nourish, or just putting themselves on the same platform. Okay. And the child response is, okay, I understand, being submissive, or, oh, I know what I'm doing. You don't have to criticize me all the time. The child is responding like he's rebelling. So when we come up with these reactions, all these three reactions need not necessarily come from a parent or someone who's an adult with a small a or a small p or a small c child. It can come from anyone. You might have seen in your workplace when you're training, some of the people, bosses, managers have problem with the employees, and basically they are dealing maybe from a parental ego state or from a child ego state when a employee asks for help, or they are saying that I'm not able to do some work properly, or they're having any issues. So as long as the manager responds being not critical from an adult ego state, by not um, telling them what to do, but helping the employee to think from an adult state and move away from the child ego state wherein they're complaining or they're talking only about problems. They're not talking about solutions. Okay. So in the theory section of the book, he's talking about how this transactional analysis and what is the structure of it. Okay. And again, he explains his keywords, and he's talking about various games and how we can actually predict if a interaction is from the child to parent stage or child to adult stage. What will be the outcome of that interaction? What will be the end game? Okay, so based on that, as a trainer, we can help our clients or students to change the pattern of the game, change the script. Now, script also is something which he's talking about. Script is something which is given to us genetically, maybe through evolution, or certain things which we have been doing habitually. So the outcome can be changed if we change the script. For example, let me take the example of Sunita Williams. There is a procedure, scientific procedure for space travel. There's a technology, lots of things are involved in that. So she's stuck in space today because they're following some script. a traditional model, the things which you do all the time. But if you want a different outcome, you want her to come back safely, then you have to change the script. So they have to rework on it, isn't it? So just one example I had to take there with the present application, how what he's talking about, how it helps us to think things from a different way, from a different perspective. Okay. Now, social intercourse or the transactional analysis, the kind of games which we play, is very important for our emotional well-being. Primarily because human beings are social beings. Without interaction, without interacting with one another in one form or another, it's very difficult. And here he is also talking about how we structure the time in different ways. Structuring of time can be how we make use of whatever is available to us, and how much time we are spending on something. So, for example, a mother stroking her child. He's come up with many words here. Like now, another word apart from script, he's talking about strokes. Strokes is nothing but how a child nourishes her infant by touching, by hugging, and that is how the spine stronger, and it developed the child's physiology, the emotions, and everything. But this stroke changes completely when it comes to an actor. An actor doesn't need a physical touch like an infant. He or she requires praises, applause that strengthens his spinal cord, her spinal cord. So strokes are very important, and the strokes, when you change it, whether it's for a grown-up person or for an infant, accordingly you can change the outcome. Okay, and he's talking about various rituals, pastimes, and procedures. I'll be talking about it. Now, transactions can be in various formats. It can be like aligned transactions, complementary, crossed, or like here you can see in this. I've taken a photograph from the book itself. So when the child is saying something like, maybe we should find out why you have been drinking more lately. When your client is having some sort of addiction or a problem with drinking or binging on something, instead of asking, don't do it, or why do you do it, and trying to put, blaming them, instead, the person who's having a problem deals with it in an adult way, and the response he's getting from the therapist or from whom he is seeking the help is also an adult, then that stimulus and response is on the same stage. It is complementary. So complementary can be when the suggestion, the advice is received as it is given out. There's no conflict there. Then it is complementary. Okay. Now, a child asking for stimulus, seeking help, and the response he is getting is nourishing or maybe critical, but received amicably by the child status, then also it can be complementary. Okay. So there are different shades to it. So in crossed transactions, what happens is, okay. So in cross transactions, what happens is, when the seeker of help or you're taking advice is coming from a parental status and the response is child, or at the same time, within 15-20 minutes of the conversation or during the training, you can shift from parental status, you can change to an adult, and the response is also received by an adult mindset, not in a child mindset. So you can have different types of transactions here. For example, you ask, do you know where my cufflinks are? Why don't you keep track of your own things? You're not a child anymore. That is a response you're getting from the parent who's being critical. But do you know where my cufflinks are? like an adult in the intonation and the manner in which you're asking. And the response you get is, yeah, you might find it in the drawer. We do have 5 minutes. You can search for it. If you want, I can help you. Instead of being critical, the adult ego state talks in a non harsh manner and is being more polite and logical, rational. At the same time, you can have multiple transactions. Um, you can have the parental stage, as you can see in this diagram, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you have a parental ego state developing a relationship with the, in a response which is again parental, or it can be, as you can say, the arrows going down, it can be in the adult status. The adult is the status in which you're being only rational and logical. And rational and logical, I'm repeating again. It can be a child, it can be a parent, it can be an elderly person, it can be an adolescent. It all depends on, are they being logical? Are they being rational without being emotional? Whereas a parent and child status, they are more emotional, they are more spontaneous, and maybe from a parental angle, you can be critical as well as nourishing. The child status is basically spontaneous and creative and sometimes rebellious. And all these status, all of us have in us. When we get angry, when we get emotional, we move on to the child or the parental state. But in the adult status is when we are being more calm, more well balanced. We are able to understand what is happening. And based on that, we should be interacting. And sometimes being a parent and being nourishing, being a listener also helps. But in some status, some situations, you need to have the curiosity, the spontaneity of a child also. So here the writer is talking about having duplex ulterior transactions. It can move from a social level to a psychological level. From any angle, it can be looked at. Now he's talking about procedures and rituals. Procedures are usually the things which we do it in a format. For example, there's a procedure to conduct this Zoom meeting. We have to follow certain protocols, which is not emotional. It doesn't have any social context or an ulterior motive. It is usually from the adult status we do it. We follow certain procedures without our emotional involvement. And rituals, on the other hand, are more parental because you follow certain procedures and rituals, certain traditions, rituals, certain way of doing things, because that is how it is done. We don't question it. For example, how a meeting is conducted, you follow certain rituals in Japan, wherein people bend and bow. They wait for the host to start the meeting, they end the meeting, and it is very rigid. You don't break from that script. The way the protocol is to be done, that is very rigid. Maybe it's certain religious things we follow are also very ritualistic, and we don't question it. So when you're from this is more parental state. Now he's also talking, yeah, I talked about strokes and relationships. Strokes are very important to develop a good relationship. Okay, you have positive strokes and negative strokes, right? We have done this, we have read about it in our other psychology club books. So he's also reinforcing the strokes thing, but strokes can have a negative as well as a positive impact. So what is it you want the outcome to be? Based on that, our stroke should be, and that strengthens the relationship. Now, coming back to pastimes. So the pastimes are like when I ask you, what a beautiful Sunday morning it is. In Hyderabad, we are having, a cloudy day. It's breezy. What a beautiful day. I'm not being controversial. I'm not being personal. I'm not talking about anything which will involve any problem or a fight or controversy wherein people have something else to say. If at all they want to talk about, like, say, they are in a place where it is not so pleasant. Wow, in Hyderabad, is it so good? Then I should come and visit you. It must be very beautiful there. Right now here, I'm not having such a lovely time. It's very hot, or it's very gloomy, whatever. So it is not a personal reaction. It is more from a adult angle, wherein you're just testing the ground whether you want to continue the relationship with a stranger, with your co-traveler. You take up certain talk, small talk. You're talking about the weather, you're talking about sports, you're talking about politics. But this can get intense. Pastimes can get intense. That interaction can get intense, based on our personal opinion also. So usually pastimes are adult ego state interactions, wherein you're being non-controversial, and it is simple, and it doesn't have an overt or ulterior motive behind it. So again, I have taken an image from the book. Um, Now, coming to the games. Games, basically, he has divided into 7 sections, and he calls it as life games. In life games, you have various types, like alcoholic, the debtor, the kick me. Now I've got you, you son of a bitch. See what you made me do. And then you have marital games, the games which married couples have, or relationships which are marital. Then you have the party games, and you have party games. I was very fascinated by the game Blemish. I'll talk to you about it. And then you have sexual games. Again, you have between partners, underworld games, consulting room games, and the good games. Okay. Under each of these games, you have minimum 4 to 5 games. So basically, all these games are, from the way I look at it, is the sessions he might have had with his patients while he was associated with the US Army, maybe, or he was a therapist in America, in California. So you have to go through all these games, and it's all tongue in the cheek, the way he has named these games. It's very interesting. Now, I mentioned blemish. I'm talking about blemish here because that is the kind of, cat in the mouse, or trying to undermine your employee. In your workplace, you see people have problem. The employee and the employer have a problem. So they undermine someone, and they try to pull them down, pitch them down, by putting a blame, shifting the blame, not taking accountability. So that sort of interactions when you have, it is called blemish. I'm just giving you a snapshot of it. My co-reviewers will be doing a more detailed version of the games. Now, coming to the games, he is structured it into a beginning part, the middle part, and the playoff. Okay, and he's talking about each of the game. As I said, it's a textbook. He has come up with a thesis, and an antithesis, and then he talks about. He has given all the dialogues also, actually, the dialogues, and what sort of games these can be like. And it's a thesaurus of games he has. So each of the game has an introduction with a thesis, and the roles which people take up, and what would be the end result, and what is the antithesis. Antithesis is the solution. Basically, thesis is the problem, antithesis is the solution. So the end of every game, he's tried to give a, Eric Berne tries to give a solution, how to deal with such a scenario wherein the issue is resolved. So a parent telling, stay home, I'm terrified. Okay, there's one more very interesting interaction I read in this book. Mr. and Mrs. White. Mr. White is supposed to be a dominant husband, and Mrs. White is supposed to be a submissive wife. So that is what these two couple might have come to Berne for their therapy, to improve their marital life and their relationship, and for their mental health. So Mrs. White believes that she is not able to do many things because of her husband. If not for you, that is the name of this interaction which they have, and that is what he's calling it as a game. If it were not for you. So if it were not for you basically refers to Mrs. White not having the freedom to dance, which he wants to do, or have a social time, because Mr. White is controlling and dominating and not allowing her to do it. So when Mr. White lets her go, says, you can do whatever you want. You are not under my protection. I'm not going to protect you. I'm not going to control you. I'm not going to dominate you. Do whatever you want. Okay. So she feels liberated. She's out of her dominant husband and she goes and enrolls in a dance class. And there the revelation happens. It is not her dominant husband, her controlling, protective husband who stopped her from dance. It was her inner fear, her phobia with the dance floor. She could not dance because she had fear of dance due to the phobia from the dance floor. It was nothing to do with the husband. She was protecting herself from this phobic status or her fear primarily by shifting the blame on her husband, selecting a husband, choosing a husband who is dominant so that she can put the blame on him for her fear, for her inabilities. So interestingly, this happens to most of us. Like, I can't drive because I have a fear of the road. It has nothing to do with my father or my husband or my children stopping me or cautioning me. So this was a therapy for me. Reading this situation, it was a good therapy for me. So I encourage each one of you to have this book with you. Keep it in your book. Keep this book in your library. Keep it in your shelf. Okay, because it helps you to understand, relatable examples and complex things which we have not dealt with. It makes you look into your own self, and he's able to draw connections between our everyday activities around us. Certain things, which look so very innocent, and but it's actually very complicated. And he's talking about the various practical significance. Okay. And he's examined the human social interactions. Maybe it'll help us to understand our fellow human beings, the world we are in now, right now. And it will help us to evolve in a more confident people, better communicator. And he's also talking about the application of it, and you can take it beyond that. Okay. And if you want a change in your life, then maybe in the end he's talking about, if you want change, then you have to change the script which is given to you by your parents. The way some things should be done, you have to change it to have the expected results. So it's a easy read if you're a voracious reader. If not, still it's a good read, because you find yourself in that book, in this book. Okay, you have the Kindle version as well, and we have the book version also. And we have a small role play here. And after the role play, my colleagues Kanika and Nidhi will take over. So Kanika, Nidhi, are you with me? Hello?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
I skip this part
Actually,
because it's already 9:40.
oh, okay. In that case, I will skip my role play. We can move on with um, Kanika then.
Let's see
Thank
if
you.
we can have it towards the end. Let's see if we can have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Continue. Kanika, it's you.
Hello, thanks a lot, Deepa ma'am, for a wonderful presentation that you have given. Very nicely decoded all the terms. Now, my part is basically more of what are the different games that we play. Just to give an overview of what exactly transactional analysis is from my perspective. So, as Shakespeare quoted, that life is a stage and we all are actors and actresses. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Madam, please use the full display mode.
Tanika, are you facing problems?
Yeah, I think actually it is raining heavily here. So there are some network issue at my place. Maybe because of that.
Then maybe you can switch off your video and continue to talk.
Yeah. Is it fine now?
Yes, Ronak?
बारिश है क्या?
Okay, continue, Tanika.
So, from my point of view, what transactional analysis is, as I already said, that Shakespeare has quoted that life is a stage and we all are actors and actresses playing our role. But what psychology or what transactional analysis believe is, we are not just a superficial actors and actresses playing the script written by someone else, but we are rational people. You know, we write our own scripts. And we write these scripts based on our interaction with the people. And believe me, we started writing the script of life much before we are actually born, right? And we have examples like Abhimanyu. He has learned a lot in the womb itself. So this is what exactly transaction is. It shapes your life. Being a rational person, when we interact with someone, the transaction starts. You don't have to have a direct transaction. When you listen something, when you see something, that also a kind of transaction. What transaction believes is everyone is okay unless and until we start interacting. You know, we are okay with what we have until and unless we didn't see that what others are having. Then we decide our own destinies. Transaction is not a term which can be interchangeably used with interaction. There is a difference between a transaction and an interaction, and that difference is commitment. Interaction is very, non-metallic word. It does not involve any commitment to it, but transaction do involve commitment. For example, if you greet someone, you're just passing by and you greet someone with a smile, you necessarily is not having the intention of having a smile back or a greeting back from that person. So it's mere interaction. But when you greet someone with the intention or with the commitment of having a greeting back or having a response back, that becomes a transaction. So, as I say, we are rational people. We behave in certain patterns. So these patterns are very rightly coined in this book as an observable ego states. Ego states are child ego state, parent ego state, and adult ego state. These are the patterns that we follow. So what is child ego state? I believe it is your spontaneous ego state. You know, when someone asks you, what are you doing? And you say, I'm just killing my time, just doing a time pass. So this is a child ego state. You don't give any thinking to it before responding. What the other person might be thinking from my response. We don't think as such. That is our spontaneous response. So that is a child ego state. Then we have a parent ego state. It is our cultural part. How is it our cultural part? Because it is an ego state which is developed by the way we are brought up, by the way we are nurtured. So that is our cultural part, a parent part. So if the same question is asked, what are you doing? And you responded in a way like, I'm just figuring out what to do. Here you at least know that you don't have to let other person think that you are killing your time. So this is your parent or your cultural part. But what is an adult response to the same question? If the same question is asked, what are you doing? And you respond in a way, I'm having a me time. I'm between the tasks. I'm trying to, refresh myself or re-energize myself. This is your adult part, your rational part, where you know that you have to behave in a certain pattern. You have to give a message to someone where you are not compromising on your intentions, or the person who is judging you should be very clear about what you want to convey. Fine, then according to these patterns, we have certain life convictions. What are life convictions? Life convictions are how we perceive life to be. And these convictions are formed on the basis of our life positions and scripts. Life positions, as I already said, that we all feel okay until and unless we started having a translations. We started having interactions, sorry. So what are life positions like? I'm okay, you are okay. You know, it is a very winning life position where you feel you are very lovable person. You believe you have a relationship of mutual trust, although it is very, very rare these days. Maybe the kids of 3, 4, 5 years of age might have this kind of positions, life positions with them. But as we grow, we positions our life differently. That could be, I'm not okay, you are okay. Here you start feeling victimized. When you see other persons getting success in some areas, you start feeling victimized. You feel you are having a life of misery. Then it's, I'm okay, you are not okay. This is where you start sabotaging the feelings of other person. When you start having your needs on the top list and you start sacrificing, not sacrificing, you start avoiding what other person might be thinking, what his strength is, you start avoiding that. Then it's, I'm not okay, you are not okay. This is the life full of misery, where you have a struggle adjusting with the world. There is a lot of internal struggle going on with the world, with yourself. And based on these life positions, these 4 life positions, you describe or you define your life script. It's hard to believe, but a life script is defined or is written by us in the age of 3, 4, or 5 years of age. It's hard to believe because at that age we hardly able to think or take decisions. But हिंदी में एक बहुत ही फेमस प्रोवर्ब भी है, पूत के पांव पालने में ही दिख जाते हैं, राइट? तो दैट इज व्हाई वी सेज दैट कि जब आप बहुत छोटे होते हो तभी आप डिसाइड कर लेते हो कि आपकी लाइफ स्क्रिप्ट कैसी है. Here I want to narrate my own example because every time I have read this book, I feel like I'm standing in front of a mirror, right? Because somewhere it is showing what I actually am and why I am, referring from some of my feelings. So I just want to narrate my personal example from it. It's just a couple of months back only. I was doing some cleaning and kind of a work, and I come across my diary, which I have written when I was just 10 or 11 years of age. Actually, I have an encounter with a Jain monk, and he asked me to write a journal. Although journal is not a very common phenomena at that time, we generally use, he asked me to write a diary, I should say. And I used to write very basic things in it, like what are my favorite subjects, what teacher told me, whether she uploaded me for something, or it's just she scolded me over something. This things that I used to write in my diary. But that was the time when my boy is about to get married, and lot of marital discussions was going on. That this boy is good for you, this boy is not good for you, that kind of discussion. And that day I have written that I also want to get married, but I want to stay in my native town, right? I want to have 2 kids because I want that sibling bond with my kids, between my kids. And I want a man who is almost like my father. And believe me, to my utter surprise, this is the life I am living. I belong to a business class family. So I always want to have a service class family as my in-laws. And everything that I have written in that diary is what I'm living right now. My mom being a principal, I always feel that, I want to give my kids more time. I want to work, but I want to work from home. At that time, working from home is not a common phenomena at all. It is something I can't even think of. Anyone can't even think of. But at that time, I feel that I want to work, but I want to work from the comfort of my home where I can, always be in contact with my kids. And believe me, this is the life I'm living right now. And that script is being written by me when I was 10 years of age. And, that is not the time when you are thinking such things. So subconsciously, at very young age, this thing has been fed in my mind. So we all live by the scripts that we have decided at that early age. This is how the humans are like. So then when we have such scripting that make us interact with the people in certain manner, these transactions can be complementary, crossed, or ulterior. What is complementary transactions? Complementary transaction is when a stimuli meet the response. To clarify it further, if you ask someone, will you help me with my PPT presentation? And the person responded, yeah, sure, I will. Why not? I would love to do that. This is where your stimuli meet the response. This is a complementary transaction. यहाँ जो भी interaction हुआ वो बहुत ही complementary था. What is a cross transaction? When you ask someone, will you help me with the PPT? And the person responds, why you always come to me for help? Why you need help with everything you do? Here, stimuli does not meet the response. This is a cross transaction. You are asking for help from an adult perspective, adult pattern, but the one responding is from a child pattern. So this is a cross transaction. Then we have an ulterior transaction. What we are doing most of the time, as we are somewhere playing games. Find what is ulterior transaction. When you ask someone, will you help me with my PPT? And the response is, oh, I so much want to help you with the PPT, but what I do, I myself is not that tech savvy. You have seen my presentations before. I myself is not able to do it that well. So here, in this particular response, you have two messages, a covert message and an overt message. Overt message, which is open, which is seen, which can be easily transcribed. You know that he is not willing to help. But a covert message, a hidden message, which says that he is willing to help after you compliment him a bit. You have to say that, no, you are so good with technology. I have seen your previous presentations. You have done wonderful job. Now that person is ready to help you. So this is the ulterior transactions that we are facing. And this book helps us cracking those ulterior transactions by letting us know what are the different games that people play. So before proceeding to the games we play, I just want to have a little role play so that I can easily decode the games and the ulterior motives behind it. Nidhi and Deepa ma'am, are we ready for the role play?
Yes.
So in this role play, Deepa ma'am is a student, a high school or a college student struggling with academics and who often avoid responsibility. I myself is playing the teacher, a supportive teacher who tries to guide Deepa towards success. And Nidhi ma'am is playing the role of a friend, Deepa's close friend who tends to enable Deepa's game by offering, excuses or blaming external factor. So the setting is Deepa and Nidhi are sitting in the school hallway discussing school struggles, where I approaches them to check in on Deepa, who has been missing assignments. So from here, we are continuing with the role play. Hey Deepa, can we talk? I have noticed that you are falling behind in your assignments. What's going on?
If it weren't for my family, I'll be on top of things. They're always on my case about everything, and it is stressing me out.
Yeah, Deepa has a lot going on at home. It's tough to focus when you have so much pressure. You can't really blame them for being behind.
See, here Deepa is playing the game if it weren't for you. Shifting responsibilities to their family instead of taking accountability. And Nidhi here is playing the role of an enabler, reinforces the game by justifying Deepa's excuses and making it harder for Deepa to see her own role in the situation. Now I am resuming my role back. Oh, I get that, Deepa. Home life can be hard at times. But what about in class? You have time in school to work on assignments. And I have seen you getting distracted here as well.
I just give up. Yeah, If it weren't for all these deadlines, maybe I'll actually get things done. It's too much all at once.
Exactly, exactly. I've been struggling too. It's like the teachers don't understand. We have other things to deal with outside of school.
It sounds like both of you are under a lot of stress, but blaming teachers or your families won't solve the problem. How do you think you can manage this better? I can help you, but tell me how you think you can manage this better,
Now
Deepa?
we aren't seen to the kick me game. I don't know. Maybe I'll just not cut out for school. Everything feels impossible. And no matter what I do, I keep failing. I guess I'm just not smart enough.
Hmm.
See here, Deepa
Deepa,
is playing a kick me game, seeking validation and sympathy by acting as if they are beyond help. This invites others to either criticize them or reassure them, creating a self-fulfilling cycle of happiness.
Deepa, don't say that. You are not a failure. It's just the situation. It's hard for everyone right now, not just you.
Deepa, it's not about you being smart or failing. It's about taking control of your choices. If you keep saying you will fail, that's exactly what will happen. But you have the power to turn it around.
I don't know. I just don't think I can handle it.
It's not your fault, though. The workload is crazy. I have been feeling the same way.
Deepa, you have got to take some responsibility here. I have seen you in class and you are being distracted a lot. What's really holding you back?
Huh? So it's all my fault now? You gave us that huge project last week, knowing we already had tests to study for. How is that fair?
Now here, Deepa plays, No, I have got you, you son of a bitch. This game involves shifting from helplessness to anger, accusing the teacher, Kanika, of being unreasonable. Deepa is using the project as a scapegoat, to avoid the lack of efforts or time management.
Yeah, ma'am, that project was way too much. I don't blame Deepa for feeling overwhelmed.
I understand the workload can feel overwhelming, but blaming me or the assignments won't help. Have you both been managing your time well, or are you putting things off until the last minute?
I've been putting it off. Yeah, I agree. I don't know where to start now.
Yeah, I guess we haven't been on top of it.
See here, if the teacher isn't being that rational and fall in the trap of letting them victimize themselves, the game will continue to play endlessly. But now the teacher being rational, she is going to break the game. And this is how we can break the game we are playing or others are playing with us. Resuming back my role, that's something we can work on. But it starts with taking responsibilities, dear. You should take responsibility for the choices you are making. Deepa, blaming everyone else, your family, teachers, or friends won't help you get ahead. Maybe you can support Deepa, but not by making excuses. You both need to take control, dear.
I guess I do blame other people a lot. It's easier admitting I haven't been trying hard enough.
Yeah, I think I have been enabling you by agreeing with everything instead of pushing you to try harder.
You both are smart and you have the potential to succeed, but these games are holding you back. The first step is recognizing when you are playing them and deciding to make a change. And I'm really happy that you are ready to make the change.
Now we are in scene 3, the turning point. I don't want to keep playing these games. I need to figure out how to manage my time better and stop blaming everyone else.
Yeah, me too. I need to stop making excuses and actually do the work.
That's a great start. I'm here to help you both, but it's up to you to make the change. No more blaming, no more games, just action.
नालो वाले उठ के
No
बाहर करो
more games.
No more games.
So, this is how exactly we play games in our lives. Once you stop or say that,
Kanika, I'm sorry to interrupt,
yes,
but
ma'am.
we have Adukya sir online, and in his busy schedule, he has joined us for a few minutes. So I think let's give him a chance to talk because he has something very, very interesting to share.
Yes, yes, sure, ma'am.
Good morning, sir. The stage is yours.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, and
Good morning.
I'm good morning, Nidhi, Deepa, Kanika, and I'm thrilled to see that the response to this book, how we can learn each one of us more, and what I have realized in life, even for 1 or 2 minutes we join, like I was listening this, trying to see this book. So what I have understood myself is, if we respect individuals, if we sometime if we have to communicate something, we can communicate in the plain language. So congratulations to Dr. Sandhya and all the readers who are reading the books, helping each one of us. And let us grow this activity. I'm seeing Pinaki ji also taking an active interest, which is a great thing. He will be able to add, the NLP perspective and his vast experience. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sandhya.
Thank you, sir. Anything else you would like to add? We would definitely want to hear you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Please carry on.
Okay. Yes. Kanika, you can continue.
So here we see that Kanika, the teacher, has break the game. By shifting the mindset of the people who is maneuvering the game from blaming others to taking the responsibility of their own work. So this is how we have to be in life, by breaking the games, by knowing the patterns that we are playing, because playing such games don't lead you to any constructive outcome from it, right? Apart from the life games, we also have marital games, where couples engage in playing games all the time. I'm not going in a detail of every game, but I'm just going into the crux of that. What is a corner game? Corner game being in a patriarchal society, right? We usually see a woman is overburdened with the expectations of a male figure. Although the scenarios are changing to an extent, but still, this is a corner game where one partner feels cornered in the relationship. Then it's a courtroom game. It's a power play where both of them start arguing and to prove their points right. They ultimately what they want is to win. They don't want to come to any conclusion, but they just want to win the argument. Then it's a frigid woman game. This involves huge lack of communication here. Okay. Frigid woman is the one who seduce the husband, but then ask the husband not to have any, sexual enclosures with him. Fine. So that is a frigid woman. And why she is doing that? Because she want to prove the point that all men want the same thing. By seducing him. Fine, then it's, if it weren't for you, this is what most of the working ladies play. Believe me, I am consulting psychologist myself, and I often get the cases where a lady come to me and said that I have compromised so much in my life. I have compromised for my family. I have compromised for my in-laws. I have compromised for my kids. But when we start peeling off further the problem by asking question again and again, what exactly is the problem? Ultimately, we find the problem is not the people around you. The problem is you yourself. So we often shift our failures to others. If I talk about myself, I myself used to do this. That my kids are very young right now. I'm not able to take the training so seriously, or I don't involve myself much in the training part or a professional part because I have to take care of my kids. But it is somewhere my lacking or my fear of not able to be in cope up with the present scenario. I am myself not that updated, maybe. So this is, if weren't for you, then look how hard I have been trying. Where one partner try very hard, but in a way that, the efforts keep failing, so that he constantly can make one realize that he's trying. And believe, and the Sweethart game, this is a game we usually play when we are in our honeymoon phase. The games where both the partners keep giving them compliments, they keep flattering with each other. So this is the game that we play, and all these games ultimately led to no solution. They are not a constructive games. Then we have party games. Aren't it awful? Where, the kitty parties or the cocktail parties where the colleagues meet, when they start accusing their bosses and everyone is on the same line. What they do is they keep on accusing the bosses. I think Sandhya ma'am is raising the hand.
Kanika ma'am, I think Nidhi has to speak. Time is up. It's already 10:10.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I will just conclude it here that we played various games in our social setup as well. But just in order to have the games fruitful, we need to play good games. And the good games will now be explained by Nidhi.
देखो 10 लाख रुपए हमारा खर्चा हुआ।
Nidhi, you're on mute.
Yes. Yes. Good morning, one and all. Thank you so much, Deepa ma'am and Kanika ma'am, for giving such a beautiful insight into a very tough reading of games people play. Honestly speaking, it's a very tough reading book because you don't get into the book's psychology content as to what this author wants to explain in a very easier manner. The name of the games which the author has used, or the manner in which he explains, takes a little time for us to understand. I would be explaining the rest of the games which the author explains in his classic Games People Play. Before I start with, there's a quote, as my co-reader has also said, that we decide the script in our very childhood. Eric Berne has quoted it very properly, that each person decides in his early childhood how he will live and how he will die. And we call this plan, which he carries in his head wherever he goes, a script.
Nidhi,
Each and
Nidhi,
yes.
are you sharing the PPT? Because what we are seeing is the Windows Explorer.
Yes, I've shared. Just a second. I don't know why it is not displaying. Just a
You just double click your file, please.
Okay, I will. I think, Sandhya ma'am, if you can do the screen sharing for me, that would be more this thing. I've shared the screen with you. Or just give me a second. I'll just try once again.
I think she has to be made a co-host to share.
No. That too, the others were also sharing. Okay, doesn't matter. If it is not being shared, I think Sandhya ma'am, you can do the sharing for my. Is it, can everyone see the screen?
Yes, now it's okay. Please go on. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Yes. So each individual is pushed by his or her script to repeat the same patterns of behavior over and over again, no matter how much he or she regrets the consequence. When I say the word repeated the same pattern of behavior, it means that this pattern of behavior we have been following since our childhood. We unconsciously or consciously follow the same pattern. Taking a live example of by the line that we follow the same pattern of behavior and by the games we play, I want to take an example of someone. If there is a person who's very close to you, and there is a habit of that other person which you really wish to change, so that it would make your relationship very smooth and healthy. Even if we give our level, we try our level best, but what happens is the pattern of behavior which the other person has been following since childhood tends to somehow reoccur or relapse. So it keeps on, we cannot change the pattern. With that, I want to continue with my script. Now, when it comes to the different games which Eric Berne mentioned in his classic, there are certain games which we call as the good games, the consulting games, and the underworld games. With the infiltration of the helping professionals into the courts or probation departments and correctional facilities, what happens is that with the increasing sophistication of criminologists of law, enforcement officers, or those who are concerned to be aware of the more common games which is prevalent in the underworld, both in the prison and out of it, the cops and the robbers, they like to play the games, they like to be caught, they like to be acknowledged in a bad sense. Now these are also the games which happens in the underworld category games. They're the games that are typically played in a more intimate or private setting, often involving either sexual or aggressive terms. Now we can characterize these kind of games as little high level of risk games because it has a lot of significant emotional consequence. Again, coming to the consulting room games, these are the games which are again played by the professionals in their professional settings where one person seeks help from other. As my co-reader Kanika has also explained about the motives, like the ulterior motive, the complementary motive. So I guess the terminologies are very much clear to you all. Now, there are also good games. Now, by the word good games, we feel that it is good from both the end, right? But good games are those games which we normally play in our leisure time or when we are with our loved ones, with our family gathering, or in our comfort zone. So, in the games which Eric Berne talks about are like Busman's Holiday, Cavalier, Happy to Help, Homely, Sage, or They Will Be Glad They Knew Me. Unlike the other categories, good games are constructive and they can lead to positive outcomes for the players. They are characterized by mutual respect, honesty, and a genuine desire to engage in a beneficial interaction. Now, I want to take an example of a game, squash. What is a game of squash? What happens is we try to hit the ball, or we try to play on based on the intellectual sparing that or you could also take an example of table tennis. What happens is It is a game of intellectual sparring where both the players enjoy the challenge and they learn from each other. This is what are good games, where we both are benefited, we both learn from each other. You are it. It is a game of mutual recognition that you have done it. You have made us proud. It is a game of recognition and also of acceptance, or you could say in a relationship, we normally tend to do it. Now, talking about consulting room games, as I've already spoken about.
Madam, take care of your display, please. Now it's okay.
Consulting room games occur in the therapeutic settings where clients and therapists engage in role playing and dynamic exchanges. Delving into the underworld games, they represent negative interactions that can lead to manipulation and conflict. By not wasting much of time, I would like to explain the games with the help of my co-readers, Deepa and Kanika, through a role play. I'm just stopping the screen share once. Okay. Kanika and Deepa, are you ready with the script?
Sure,
As
sure,
I've
we are ready.
mentioned, yeah, so as I've mentioned about the games, it will be more easier for you to understand through this role play where I would be explaining about different games which we unconsciously or habitually play in our day-to-day life. Now, in this game, players take on different roles to navigate a situation as if they were on a holiday, but having to work in their regular jobs. The setting is such that it is it's a family day out at a park, and each character is on their holiday, but from their regular jobs. I, Nidhi, would be playing the role of the parent ego state. Deepa is playing the role of the child, and Kanika is playing the role of an adult in the setting. The scene starts as Nidhi, me being the parent. I initiate the plan as, all right, everyone, welcome to our family day out. I know I'm usually working at the office, but today I am your tour guide. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, that's the first stop, tour guide. What's this first stop, tour guide, mom?
As a photographer of the trip, I am ready to capture all the great moments. Just let me know where we are heading next.
See, that's the playground. Our first stop is the playground. Deepa, you can play while I can take the role of the playground supervisor. Kanika, you can take some photos of Deepa having fun.
I'm going to slide down the first slide first.
Got it. And remember, tour guide mom, make sure we stay safe while having fun.
Of course, safety is first. Let's enjoy this day as if we are on the best holiday ever. Now, this was a game which is the busman's holiday, in which it describes as to a setting in which we are in our comfort zone with our family, and each one of us is defining or playing their role, and it happens with us a lot of times when we are in a holiday or somewhere out where the parent has to be very responsible. He has to also consider the child's wishes. So that's what is explained in the game, in busman's holiday. Now I would like to explain the second game, which is the cavalier game. The objective is players are tasked with showing chivalry and handling situations with grace and courtesy. In this entire role play, the setting is of a formal dinner party where every person has a specific role. Again, I am playing the role as a parent. As a gracious host, Welcome to our dinner party. It's so nice to have you both here. Please make yourselves comfortable. Kanika, would you kindly assist Deepa with her seat?
Thank you, Kanika. I'm so ready for dinner. Yummy, yum.
Of course, Deepa, let me help you with your chair. And if you need anything during the meal, just let me know, dear.
Me, as a host, serving food. I hope everyone enjoys the meal. Deepa, feel free to ask for anything you might need. And Kanika, could you help me with passing the bread to our guest?
Please, could I have some more of the vegetables?
Certainly, Deepa, and thank you for asking so politely.
It's wonderful to see everyone being so considerate. Let's enjoy this evening with great company and wonderful conversation. I hope the setting of the game is clear to one and all. Now, what it wants to explain, what the writer wants to explain in this game, Cavalier, is that a parent trying to make everything fall in place tries to also please the guest and also please the child who is along with her. Also, Kanika, who's playing the role of an adult, she is trying to manage the situation in a very conscious manner and in a very constructive manner. This act shows that a child, although under the supervision of the parent and the adult, is ignorant of what is happening, but he or she is only focused on what he or she wants to have it. So, in this game, the author explains as to how handling situations and by showing chivalry, we can handle real life situations. Now, our next game is wooden leg. I repeat, wooden leg. Wooden leg, by the word, it means that a leg which is very heavy, a leg which is very difficult to walk. You have a lot of responsibilities. Now, what is the objective of the script? In this script, players navigate a situation with a humorous, because it is something which it is very humorous to think of, a person with a wooden leg, or challenging constraint, such as pretending to have a wooden leg. So the setting of the role play is the family game night where one player has to act with a wooden leg or a similar challenge. In this game, again, in the script, me and Nidhi would be playing the role of the parent, Kanika as the adult, and Deepa as the child. Pretending to have a wooden leg. All right, everyone. I will be the one with the wooden leg for this game. Let's see how well I can manage it while we play our board game.
Ha 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 ha. This is going to be funny. Mom, can you still move around with that wooden leg?
I'm sure you will do great, Nidhi. Just remember to move slowly and be careful. It's all about having fun and not taking it too seriously.
Here I go, taking my turn. It's a bit tricky with this wooden leg, but I'll do my best. Maybe I will on the right spot.
You can do it, Mom. You can do it. Just a little more to the right.
Nice job, Nidhi. You are handling it well. Let's keep going and enjoy the game.
Thanks, everyone. This has been a lot of fun. Wooden leg and all. I hope from this game it is very much clear that wooden leg describes as to how a person who takes responsibility in his leg or is bestowed with certain challenges considers the game and takes it in a very funny manner and in a very positive note. Now, this book, which is a seminal work in the field of transactional analysis and psychology by Eric Berne, has a lot to take to understand, and there are a lot of takeaways. Firstly, as my co-partners and co-readers have already described about the ego states, I think it's very much clear to all of us as to the three ego states that are the parent, the adult, and the child, and recognizing which state you or others are operating from can help you navigate interactions more effectively and improve communication. That is, if you know how to communicate and act as an adult at a situation where you need to display your maturity, if you master this skills, you will be able to handle your situations and your relationships very smoothly. Coming to the transactional analysis, that is the forte of our author, our author Eric Berne. The concept highlights how individuals engage in transactions that are conversations and interactions that can be healthy or unhealthy. Being aware of the nature of these transactions can foster healthy relationship. I hope this can be a great takeaway for all of you from the reading. The next is psychological games. Now, our author identifies various psychological games that people play in relationships. Understanding these games can help you recognize unhealthy patterns and avoid manipulation or miscommunication, which we normally encounter in our day to day life. The payoff. Now, as you have already understood the terms which are given in the book, what is payoff? Each game has a payoff for the players, which can be often be negative. Realizing what you gain from the unhealthy games can motivate you to change these patterns and seek healthier interactions. You also need to be aware of the projections. Now, people always or often project their own feelings and experiences onto others. If they will do it, I'll do it. If they do it, if they are good, I'm good. Or we kind of project. If they will wish me, I will wish them, and so and so. Now, becoming aware of what you are doing, this can how you need to just cut down your projections and think it in a very healthier manner. If you do so, if you are aware of this, you're doing this can improve self rejection and empathy in your interactions. Okay. Now, next, from a very good takeaway from the book is communication skills. This book emphasizes the importance of clear and direct communication. Learning to express your needs and feelings from the adult state can lead to more meaningful interactions. I hope this has also been clear from our role plays. The importance of self-awareness. Now, increasing your awareness of your own behaviors, motivations, and emotional responses allows for more authentic interactions. Basically, what is the author wanting is he is wanting you to have interactions which is very logical, which is very matured enough, and which can turn to just cut down the misunderstandings or the misconceptions. Breaking patterns. Yes.
Because we have short the time, can we first open the stage to if there are any questions, because it's already 10:30.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
okay.
very engaging, but I know you have a lot to talk.
Yeah.
Has any questions for us?
Yeah. Let me ask a questions, madam.
Yes.
Yeah, all three speakers is done very well, really explaining everything. I just want a very simple question. Explain exactly what is the purpose of the game. It's a analysis of human behavior, or it's a solution to the human behavior. Just explain that part. And all the role play was really fantastic. I enjoyed the all 1.5 hours. But please explain it in very simple terms. And one more second questions. I have seen author has used to a few words which may not be acceptable in normal, like son of a beach, maybe social intercourse, something like that one. What is your comments and up by Kanika, or anybody can just explain that? Thank you.
Yes, we play games because we want to, continue with the communication. We want not to feel victimized. Fine. हम generally games इसीलिए खेलते हैं ताकि हम navigate कर सके situation के साथ. जब हमें नहीं लग रहा कि we are compatible enough to navigate in a fruitful way, we start playing games ताकि that outcome जो हो ना वो हमारी weaknesses को ना बता पाए. That's why we play games. And as far as your second question, can you?
Kanika, here I would like to add, isn't it true that experts, it's not always, I mean, yes, most of us, we generally play games when we are trying to find a way. But there are experts who proactively play a game to navigate people to what they want. I mean, the best example, I think, is in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna. He made Arjun break down so that the entire world could get to witness all the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. It was not just Arjun that he taught, the whole world. So I think that's where my opinion is a little different. Am I right or am I wrong as for the book? Kanika. Kanika, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Kanika. Yes, Deepa?
Ma'am, basically in such situation, there is an ulterior motive. There is an ulterior motive and he has a name for that game. I'll get you, you son of a bitch. And the sir was saying, Nandulal sir, yeah, these are unparliamentary. That is the tongue in the cheek. The writer has it. Maybe his observation of what he has seen in the war scenario, being part of the army. So he can't openly talk about it. So he has named the game as such. So that is something, we can do a psychological analysis on him, the way he has named these games. And that draws you actually. Maybe that is why, you're drawn to the negative, something which is forbidden. So maybe the child in him, provoked him to come up with these names. So yeah, people do have an ulterior motive to do certain things. And that is the crossed transactions which you have, which is not very easy to interpret. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think, I don't know, sir, your name. It's written as Hansi's laptop. So we don't know.
Yeah. It's Bharat actually. It's my daughter's name. She was using, I'm using her laptop. A special thanks to all the three ladies and Dr.Sandhya also for, moderating everything. See, as, one of the speakers said herself, that it is very difficult, the ethic, what we are groomed, etc. Like, that comes over. No matter like, however, like I try to balance the other person, it comes up, So how to deal, in order to have a healthy relation forward. And, I am conscious that, it comes out, but still I want to do something about it. Is there, any something?
Yes, yes, definitely.
I think, hope you're able to comprehend what I said, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, at times we feel that we are responding spontaneously to a situation, but what we are doing is following that same stereotype pattern. So you have to understand that pattern that you are following every time by asking the question that what is wrong with me again and again, so that you can finally come to the conclusion that this is the pattern you are following over a period of time, and then you have to work on that pattern so that you can break that.
No, it's not about me, about the other person.
Yeah, other person also, for other person also, but not following the path. If he is trying to victimize himself, don't fall in that trap. What we do most of the time is we keep on agreeing with the person. So stop agreeing. You don't have to give your concern for everything. Have the ability to say no and to rectify the person. This is what you keep doing.
One more thing I would like to add. Yes, and I would like to add one more thing. As we are talking, that the entire book, what Eric Berne want to explain is you need to understand that person's pattern. So if you want to play the role of an adult, you will have to understand that that is his or her normal pattern, which he or she normally follows. Now you will have to deal with that situation. And how dealing with that situation, as my co-readers have already spoken, that what was the intent, what was the ulterior motive of your speaking to this in a such a certain matter. If you will play the role of an adult and understand the situation, it will lead to a healthier relationship.
And I would like to add in here one more point. In the third section of the book, Beyond Games, he talks about this. Bharat sir, he addresses this point. Like, how do we deal and change the paradigm of the game? And the antithesis of every game, no, he has given an antithesis, how you can change the script and how you can, and basically he says that go into the adult state or the nourishing parent state. Yeah, being spontaneous like a child is good, but being in the adult state or being a nourishing parent can bring about a change, and you can understand the game being played. And if you read the antithesis of every game, there also you get a lot of takeaways.
Yeah,
Thank you.
fantastic, fantastic.
Meenakshi Gujarati.
Very good morning to everyone. It was a lovely session, the presentations and the role play. Just wanted to add one line. Like psychological games, like people play and what we play, it's good, like we understand. But I would like to add one of the dohas of Kabir Das ji.
I was missing this.
What it means is like the introspection is so important. Like each of one is the mirror image of the other person. Like कबीर कुआं एक है, पानी भरे अनेक, बर्तन में ही भेद है, पानी सब में एक. So it's like we have the same soul, each of us. But if we understand ourselves, the more we introspect, the more we understand the mind of others. So although the book reading is like, it was fantastic, but this thing, if we do on a daily basis, it's going to improve everyone, each of us. Thank you, ma'am.
I think this entire book review, everybody would agree, it was done very differently. What I really loved was that you were totally involved in it. It was not about just what others would learn from it, but I think you have more on a personal level. And it's like, you know, how moms, they nurture the kids by taking up different roles. That's how you all took up different roles, changed, put up different masks, and handled this topic in a very nice way. Right?
Thank you. And it was a pleasure. And you gave us this platform, ma'am, Adukya sir. And I learned a lot from Pinaki Ray sir and Sandhya ma'am. You're always there to give us, you're the wind behind our wings, you know. So thank you. I took more time. I apologize for that. But I couldn't stop myself. I get nervous and I speak.
I think it boils down to what we call the 7 C's of communication, no?
No, the mom's phenomena. Simple. The mom's phenomena. That's the reason I said all three went in as moms. We lose track of time. Okay. Yes. Pinaki sir, thank you so much. Do you have any questions? Anybody? I mean,
Pinaki sir is like
Deepa ma'am, I wanted to compliment all three of them, and especially Deepa ma'am. And when she was doing role play, no, she was absolutely into the character of different people. That was so much fun and enlightening. And just one more thing, ma'am, I wanted to add on, you know, if we could close it by 10, 15 and 15 minutes for the forum, because usually...
sorry for that.
No. Deepa ma'am, you don't have to apologize, because it was a pleasure listening to you. The diction, the pronunciation, the tone, the clarity, everything. I mean, we could have more with you. That's not a point, but it's only that what I could get it from because this time I couldn't read the book, ma'am. So it was absolutely a pleasure listening to all three.
Ankur, you just correct me, Nidhi, Kanika, and Deepa. I think Ankur just played the adult psychology over here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think that is the takeaway that I take from this entire session. Yes,
and
Sheikh.
a bit of
Very
style, you know,
well.
because this book is there, audio book is there, various versions of this book is there, and
Must.
you can just on the go while you're traveling, you can listen to it, and it will actually, you know, freeze you when you see that certain dialogue, certain things, no, you have experienced or you're doing it to others, consciously or unconsciously.
Deepa ma'am,
Ma'am,
fun will be more listening to you all, not those audio clips anymore now.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Ma'am, I just like to say that that this is a wonderful session. This series. I think what happens is that with every book, even if you actually do the review, you kind of start thinking about the book deeper. So that deeper thinking process that was not there earlier when you just read the book and leave it. That especially if you are presenting, I'm quite sure the presenters will actually linger with the thoughts later on how I could have done it better. So that itself is itself a big plus, ma'am.
True.
Yes, before there was one thing, Mangala ma'am had asked a question initially that they would like to connect with the speakers. I'm putting it on record. See, all the speakers are actually a part of the book review group. So they are very much there. You just have to ask for them over there, and their contact numbers and everything are there. Yeah.
Ma'am, have we decided for the next book? Is it been decided?
September. Ankur, where are you? The voting happened. The names, the
I'm
teams
little
have,
lost.
the reviews have begun.
Yeah. Ma'am, I'm just wanted to know the name because I was not there regular for 15 days.
Yeah,
There's
one
some
is
happening in
Think
that.
Straight, one is Think Straight, and the other one is Life's Amazing Secrets by Gaur Gopal Das.
Oh, okay. Oh, lovely.
So, yes, anybody else has any questions? And I would really like to know if the choice of books, are you all enjoying it? Because I'm trying to keep them as varied as possible. I'm not just taking one particular track. Are you all okay with the choice?
Ma'am, I think that the book should not be too psychologically deep. I think that impacts because, I think it should be very simple. And there's a book which I would like to suggest is The Happiness Advantage. It's by Sean Acker. It's a wonderful book. Actually, I got a recommendation from somewhere. I started reading it on my own. And it's got, so I think, any book that we review should have actionables. Like most books actually are not written necessarily by psychologists. Now, this is written by a psychologist and he has actionables that do this, do this, do this, do this. Like most books you read, now they'll tell you that this is the thing, this is why it's happening. That's where they stop. They don't go necessarily into the depth like we did about the courage to be disliked. They tell about level not, but what are the many steps? That is what's missing actually, I feel.
That is where, that is where Rajiv sir. Now, this book was heavy. But it is written by a psychologist and there are actionable steps. So certain times, I personally, I'm sure it must have been a very tough job for all three, Nidhi, Deepa and Kanika, to get this book to present in a simplistic way. It was definitely heavy, but I think there are a lot of lessons learned over here. I personally enjoyed this session. It was a very different session. I felt that was my take. Don't you agree, sir?
True. Yes, I totally get you, ma'am. I totally agree with that. I'm not denying that it was really informative, and the only thing was that when we include books, actually, ma'am, somebody could actually go through them, and the important thing I think is that the actionable steps should come out in the end. Whenever anybody these are the micro steps you need to take. Probably, and you'll realize that those micro steps are the same thing. Get up early, journal.
It was supposed to be
so that's what I said. No, for every interaction, what we learn is in communication. 7 C's of good communication is boiling down to that. But they put it so beautifully and interestingly that we need Nidhi, Deepa, and our Kanika madam to make it interesting, and of course Pinaki sir to really.
You know what? They were, Rajiv sir, they were going to show the summation at the end. But what happened is I realized that that people had queries. So that's the reason I had to stop Nidhi on the path because we had crossed the time. That's the reason I opened the stage to questions. So what I'll do is, once all the questions are done, I will let Nidhi summarize it so that it comes on the recording, and then share the recording. I just wanted the crowd to be there. And before we go to that, I think Rajeshwari has raised her hand for a long time, and then we'll have Navita. Yes, Rajeshwari? Rajeshwari, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just unmuted. Thank you so much. I found this session to be very insightful and very engrossing as well. And especially that role play kind of totally brought it alive. And all the reviewers, I was really enthralled. And something that kind of stayed with me was, I noticed this book has been published way back in 1964, like almost 60 years ago. But still, everything is so relevant. And the way you reviewers brought it to life, and you were able to, show like the relevance of it in the current days human psychology as well, despite the information age.
There are 3 editions. It started with 64, then there was one in 70s, and there's one in 2016. So there's an edition. That's what Nidhi, I think it was Deepa or Kanika, I don't remember, one of them referred to. So what we have is the latest edition.
Latest edition. Okay, though the ball was set rolling back in 64.
Yeah.
But interestingly, so my question is this. What I could find is everything was very relevant. Despite whatever additions were made, but the ball was set rolling back in 64, right? So
Yes.
were there any points, right, in any of these editions which are not relevant in the current day and age or information age, where it's like very much also social media driven? Were there any specific points that we need to, because I could not find anything. Everything felt very relevant, but is there any points which, like was different then versus now in terms of the psychology with the advent of social media now?
What we could do is, Deepa, Nidhi and Kanika, if you all have the point ready, you all can put it now. Else, you all can put it in the group.
Yeah, I'll just take a second. I think this book and all the games, it has withstood the slaughter of time. And it is relevant, everything, even during this disturbing era of social media, still it is relevant. Thank you, Rajeshwari, for the question.
Thank you.
Kavita.
Yes. I was waiting to speak now. Well, it has really given some very refreshing moments. I had read this book way long back when I was doing my TA course. And I was very happy about the way it was brought out. The point I want to make here is we can write the next edition of the book, probably inculcating the social media perspective. It would be a whole book, I am sure. And all the games that are played on the internet now. And how governments are changing, how geopolitical references are, interspersing with our own lives, and all those things can actually be brought out. Please take up somebody and write it.
Yes, I think Navita had
Very interesting fact.
Navita, are you there still? You had raised your hand. Yes, Navita.
Yes. Good morning,
Thank you so
everyone.
much for
I
reading.
will not take a lot of time. The book review was amazing. I loved all the 3 reviewers. Thank you for reviewing this book, though, it was a heavy book. And one more thing I want to say that, when Sandhya ma'am, you asked that is the selection of books is good. If I love the selection of books. I mean, you're covering a huge, varied variety, I would say, because I wouldn't have picked this book in any case. But then the way it was reviewed, now I'm getting this feel, no, I can read this book because I've got very interesting summary, different interpretations, interesting role plays. So yes, when you hear about books which somebody else has selected, it changes your perspective. You have your own choices. When you go to a bookshop, you pick up books which you like. But in this way, your I think vision is going to become broader, and you will pick up different categories. So thank you for widening my vision. Thank you.
There's a reason why I chose this book, honestly, because Kanika, I'm also into counseling.
Okay.
So I always tell people I'm a counselor out of experience, and I use two to analyze a person. One is the person's attitude, but there are experts, because I do not use psychometric tests, honestly speaking, because I feel the Indian audience who is used to the jugaad, they break the psychometric test. So I do not. Second, the attitude of a person, it's very difficult to change the attitude. It is formed after so many years of following certain steps, but still there are experts who can break through that, who can try to manipulate it. But the one thing that people cannot manipulate is how they are currently. So, and I find it very intriguing, because I can, what people say and what they show, that difference helps me in understanding and analyze. So when I sit for counseling, I always tell people I'm here to not to tell you what is right or wrong from my perspective. I'm here for you to find what is right or what is wrong from your perspective, because it is you who's living your life. I will be there. I don't want you to come to me every time, because that is injustice. You to be able to find. So that I felt that this book is leading in the same thought process. That's the reason.
So if all of you become booksellers, I think the book industry will really grow in leaps and bounds.
Yes.
Um,
As Kavita Prakash asked, no, what are the editions we should have? I think this is a book, basically, put it in a broad way, it's a mental health book. It's a mental health book. So maybe the current trauma in the past few years we have been going through, how to deal with personal tragedies like death and unexpected, health situations, and the war which is going on. So maybe certain case studies should be done, and maybe that should be updated. That is somewhere, all of us are wearing a wheel, and the recent past, whatever has happened, how we are dealing with it. And I'm sure Dr. Eric Berne has undergone all the stress, which this era, after 100 years, we are going through. Why didn't he mention it? Why didn't he talk how to deal with things which are happening around us? So that is something, I found lacking in him, in his
Especially that
books.
COVID-19 era that we all have faced, such a pandemic, how to deal with that pandemic kind of a era, that could be definitely need to be added in this book.
Yes, that update is required.
Plus, I felt if you would have included that, then it would have been limited to that time period, Deepa. I think as a psychologist, he understood it, that if it has to be relevant for later years also, and as a psychologist, if he puts that, again, he would have put it from his perspective.
Or maybe as a Jew, as he had to change his name, so maybe he was uncomfortable talking about that aspect, the criminal mentality, the
now see again
mentality which makes one another kill.
That's exactly
the
what I was
suicidal tendency.
See,
So
now Deepa,
that
this
sort
is
of
your
thing.
perspective. Deepa, this is your perspective. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
telling.
that's my perspective.
A psychologist understands that each person comes with a different perspective.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was my take. Yeah, Pinaki ji, you have not been speaking.
Pinaki, because Pinaki sir must be thinking games husbands play, games wives play, games teachers play. He must be thinking how to write book from NLP point of view.
My son is playing games right now. What game? Okay, yes.
There's a science called ontology, which came up almost about say about 40 years back. And the foundation of this science is that you and I become mature enough to live the rest of our life by the time we reach 6 years of age. Imagine what a 6-year-old young child would be doing. Uske dimag mein kya chalta raha ho? The only thing that he or she does is playing games. Even Dr. Eric has mentioned about 5 years in this book. But he said that by the time you reach 5 years, you almost reach your maturity. After that, it's all your experience. So what does a child do? What does a
It tries
child?
to fool you. A child tries to fool you.
Child only plays games.
Yes.
तो आप और हम कर क्या रहे हैं? We are still that 6-year-old child. We are playing newer games with the experience that we are gathering. So catch yourself there, that what game you are playing. You know, the fundamentals is all about catch yourself the game you are playing. And another suggestion which I always give, when you review a book, focus on two things. What is your intention behind reading the book, behind reviewing the book? And what is the attention other person is paying you while you are sharing the book, while you are sharing the experience, your experience about the book. You know, whatever your review is your experience about the book. You know, like we will be covering something called structure of communication in one of our NLP sessions, probably in the next one will be next Thursday that we are doing it. So in that structure of communication, there are 3 levels of structure, 3 levels of communication. It starts with what actually happened.
Pinaki, 1 minute. So anybody has any questions regarding this book review?
No.
Anybody has?
No.
I know Nidhi had to leave because we have already crossed, because 2 hours of recording is on. Anything else?
Yeah, I had a question for Pinaki ji. Maybe it's related to this book, but maybe you could use this. I generally feel underappreciated for all the work that I do at times. Not necessarily, I'm not talking here, but is that a game I'm playing, or is that I'm genuinely feeling something?
Absolutely. You ask yourself. See, that is where I was coming to. Anyway, I was interrupted. It's okay. We'll cover it.
No. I thought you're referring to your session that is going to happen in the next week. So you got driven into. That's the reason.
It's okay. It happens sometimes. See, that is also a
No,
game
but I think please let's finish this quickly. You know, if you can reply to this will be very helpful for me, because sometimes I'm perceiving that I'm delivering more value, but the other person, maybe for him that value is not there. So maybe that is that.
Yeah, so just stay focused on that. What I shared with you. It's about intention and attention.
Okay.
आपका intention क्या है? वो आप game play कर रहे हो. अगले बंदे का attention आपके ऊपर है कि नहीं, वो depend करता है वो कौन सा game play कर रहा है.
But इसमें विफिम का कोई रोल नहीं है क्या फिर basically?
किसका?
What's in it for विफिम का? What's in it for me?
Sir, what in it for you is your intention. What's in it for him is the other person's attention. वो आपको attention देगा.
ओके, दोनों का जहाँ मैच होगा वहां पे अप्रिशिएशन होगा.
हाँ. Then you are actually playing the game together. Otherwise, सब दूसरा एक दूसरे का अलग-अलग games खेल रहे हैं.
सही बात है.
रोल प्ले हो रहा था, इसमें हो क्या रहा था, आप नोटिस कीजिएगा. In all the role plays, what was happening? It is only a matching of intention and attention. जहाँ पे attention मैच नहीं कर रहा है, वहाँ पे दो अलग-अलग व्यक्ति अलग-अलग गेम खेल रहे हैं.
ओके, परफेक्ट.
बच्चा जब रोता है उसका इंटेंशन क्या होता है, और उसका बेसिक इंटेंशन ये होता है कि that child needs attention. Got it? But the attention to what? That is for?
Exactly. So even when you are a child, your only intention is to get attention of the other person. और आज भी आपका हालत वही है, कुछ डिफरेंट नहीं है. You are only 6 years today. It's like 6 plus 34 years of experience. Nothing more than that. Nothing more than that.
Okay. Great.
So that means we are all, say, 10 years of age and the rest is experience.
The experience helps us in bringing the intention, aligning the intention in such a way that we get attention to what we want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Actually, ma'am, Pinaki ji ने एक point touch किया जो कि very deep to my heart is, and that is basically that children who are between 5 and 6, I think I've read what Pinaki ji says, that between 5 and 6 you have a typical time when you transition and you understand where your role is in terms of the herd. So for children during the Corona time, they have not had that exposure. I think they have missed out on that window. Actually, I think those who are 5 years old or something. Just a thought.
Let me leave you with one question. एक सवाल के साथ मैं आपको छोड़ता हूँ. कोरोना को लेके कुछ भी हुआ, children under 12, they didn't need any vaccination.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
Well, can you repeat your question, sir?
Children under 12, they didn't get any vaccination, neither they need any vaccination, but they still survive Corona.
Excellent. Excellent,
Think about it.
excellent, Pinaki. Very, very true. Because
Oh,
a lot
that's a medical question.
No. What he's referring to is much deeper. A lot of people, I always tell, a lot of people that who lost to COVID was not because of the COVID. It was because they gave up. And a child is, the child is thinking, but the child is still not influenced by the external, what others think. The child is still thinking independently. So the child was becoming stronger from within. COVID, that's why they did not need the vaccination. Very good, Pinakiji. You really touched the core. That is what. So the games people
They have
play.
developed that autoimmune.
Yeah, people play. Yeah, let me just complete. People play these games because they know that you are weak in mind and you can get impacted. Whereas those children, they are still individuals. They are not thinking more about what others play, what others are trying to say. They are still independent. So that's why they did not need the vaccine. Very good. I really loved it, Pinakiji.
Pinaki ji, let us hear from Pinaki ji. Sir, can you complete ma'am's explanation? Do you differ or do you want to add something to that?
आप बताइए.
I think it's just that, if you see a rat snake, you can pet it, but the child doesn't know the difference between rat snake and a cobra. So basically, he's just so that is, I think, what it was.
Well, medically, people had to say that those who died during the corona did not die because of the corona. 90% of those died because they had some other disease, and corona just hastened their death. Look up medical journals, you'll have a different perspective. Look up medical journals, ma'am, look up medical journals, they have a different perspective.
I have seen it from very close angles. I have seen a lot of people who died. There were a lot of people who were healthy, absolutely hale and hearty, who got COVID and they lost the battle. And there were people in their 90s who had many other things and they survived. I know of a 99-year-old woman who was in coma for about 5 weeks and she came out of it. It was not that she did not have other things. It was that they lost a mental battle. It was much more than the other ailments.
Ma'am, actually, Pinaki sir is saying something, but I think what I think he may also want to add is कि बच्चों में stem cells होते हैं. I think they are active stem cells का जो activity होता है, and also they have the natural immunity from the mother's milk, which I probably lasts little late, So that may be one of the reasons. But I'll tell you, one reason is definitely there, that even I got COVID, but I used to take amla, so I was boosting my immunity. So those who were able to boost their immunity, even though I did take a vaccine later on, but I got it before. So I think but I was out of it in a day. And I think you're right, ma'am, that for the first few hours, I thought I'm going to die actually because of the fear. But once the fever started subsiding, that self-belief came back, So I believe kahin na kahin my immunity, that the treatment I was giving myself of amla, having an amla a day, somebody probably helped me. That's really what my belief is.
If we correlate Pinakiji's question over here, games people play. There are experiments that are proved. Like for example, a plant. If you keep on speaking negative to a plant, if you do not give that plant attention, that plant will eventually die. A healthy plant. So this is where I'm coming to Mangala ma'am. A absolutely healthy plant will die if that plant does not get attention, as against a plant which gets attention. So that's where, games people play. It's those mental games that people play. Navita, you had something to add.
Yeah, I want to say it's all about what you think. Your words have power.
Yes.
That's it.
I think Pinaki ji, we need to.
The easiest way
I think let Pinaki ji round off, sir. Can you just round off our comments on that? That is a very poignant question you had actually.
The easiest way to get access to the actual reason or actual answer is you go and ask those children के COVID क्या था, क्या हुआ था. आपको पता चल जाएगा. वो आज भी बता नहीं पाएंगे आपको.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I think it's high time that I end, because now the recorded file is going to be large, 2 hours recording. So I think it was a wonderful, wonderful session. Really loved it. Hope we continue to have these sessions even in future. So all the best to you all. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for attending the session.
Yes, and Meenakshi ma'am, I'm really missing the Kabir Dohas. I remember even in my virtual sessions, you're there, and I love those Dohas. So thank you so much, ma'am. Chalo. Have a great
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Pinaki sir.
Have a wonderful life, wonderful day. Thank you.
Madam Kanika, madam, and the others also. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. I'm going to end the meeting then. Bye. Thank you.